This is session 6 of The God of the Impossible. And for our final session this week, we look at the ultimate victory of God, achieved by faithful obedience against the world which threw the best it could conjure up. And this, of course, is the resurrection. Jesus came into this world to destroy the works of the enemy, to bring the world back into relationship with his Father. And while it was his death and resurrection of Jesus that really accomplished this, that was the culmination of all that had begun at his birth. Jesus came into the world and immediate conflict with Satan began. He wanted to do everything he could to win the battle. And it began when Jesus was born. Wise men came from another country looking for the new king. They'd seen his star. And of course they went to the palace and asked King Herod. Now Herod was an absolutely jealous man. And so he said, well, when did you see the star? It must have been 2 years previously, because he then, in his rage, ordered all baby boys under the age of 2 to be slaughtered. But God, of course, was a step ahead, and he had warned Joseph in a dream to pick up his family and head for Egypt. Seeing that he failed to get rid of Jesus, his next tactic was to derail Jesus' ministry. Get him to disobey the Father. Get him to worship me. This was a time, of course, of the temptation in the desert. But Jesus' obedience to the Father was steadfast. Despite the fact that by the end of 40 days he would have been weak, he would have been very hungry, and yet he obeyed his Father and Satan was defeated. His next effort was through the people in the hometown synagogue. They got so angry with him that they tried to throw him off a cliff. God's power prevailed and Jesus simply walked away from the mob. Satan had stirred up the comfort of the people. They didn't like what they heard Jesus saying. John 8:59, we read of conflict with the Jewish leaders. They heard Jesus claim to be from God, and in fact to be God, and they didn't like that. And it says they picked up stones to stone him, but he walked away. And then again in chapter 10 verse 31, again the Jews picked up stones to stone him. But Jesus said to them, I've shown you many great miracles from the Father. For which of these do you stone me? We are not stoning you for any of these, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God. But once again, Jesus escaped their grasp. Satan made many attempts to kill Jesus, using both everyday people and the leaders, and he was thwarted every time. Even when Peter said to Jesus, no, look, we'll never let you get arrested and put to death, we'll never let that happen to you, that was Satan, using Jesus' very friends to try and dissuade him from God's plan. But Jesus recognized exactly what was going on, and his reply to Peter was, get behind me, Satan. When Jesus was finally arrested and put to death, Satan must have been chortling with glee. Finally, he'd succeeded. Jesus was gone, his followers defeated, and he was still the ruler of the world. But of course, death could not hold Jesus. What a shock it must have been for Satan at the resurrection. He thought he'd got rid of Jesus, but no, he hadn't. And even worse, the power of Jesus was now available to all his followers. Jesus had won the victory, but he won it because he remained faithful and obedient to God, even when it meant facing the horrors of the cross. If we remain faithful and obedient, then we can expect to see God do impossible things and bring victory out of what looks like defeat.
Oh God, most high, almighty King, the champion of heaven, Lord of everything. You've won, death lost its sting, and standing in victory you stand. You have broken the chains that held our captive souls. You have broken the chains and used them on your cross. Now your enemies are bound, they tremble at the how can